Socks. What are you doing balls bouncing? There's no balls bouncing, it's you moving. Listen. Use the TV. Nearby or not? Obnoxious. Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to Synergetic Games. My name is Natalie, and today we are going to be reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. It's been a while. I feel like I've missed the last couple of Saturdays for various reasons, mostly migraines. Maybe a self-care day or two. I've had a lot of those recently. I've been in a weird place, so I feel like I'm allowed to do that. Incidentally, if you feel like you need a self-care day, take one. Just do it. Just take one. Look after yourself. So yeah, it's been a second. I read it last week. I read ahead last week. I don't really remember how many chapters, but should be fun. Yeah, no, I don't remember how many. So I'm gonna read as far as I read ahead, or at least as far as I remember I read ahead. It's been a while. I really should have noted it down. No, I feel like I read that bit. We'll see how it goes. Because a lot of the chapters are fairly short, so we'll see how it goes. I might make things up as we go along. Zaphod will remain Zaphod for the sake of ease. I know some of you would disagree and tell me it's Zaphod, but we've. I'm pretty sure they call him Zaphod in the film. Zaphod Beeblebrox. Okay. Apparently it's Zaphod, according to my mother. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. Okay, it's Zaphod. I don't know, I have to listen to my mother. So we'll see how it goes. But I've been calling him Zaphod this entire time, so it's going to be hard to switch. Yeah, no, my day has been... It's been good. It's been a little bit weird, but it's been good. I've been a bit down recently because I had a job interview and I was really excited for it. Even though it was kind of like, when I had the interview, it was completely backwards from what I expected it to be in terms of hours. But I'm not mad about that, especially now. I'll explain the rest of it later, but I've got like a phase 2 interview coming up on Tuesday, so I'll explain to you what is happening after that. Because I don't really know, but I'm having a very interesting time of it. There's also another opportunity that's come up recently that I wasn't really expecting anything out of. So yeah, again, I'll explain to you on Tuesday when I've made various decisions, assuming I have decisions to make. But yeah, I'm having a time with that right now. So that's where I've been at. I almost didn't stream tonight because I felt like maybe I should just, take this time to relax and chill out and stuff. But no, I want to read my book. I want to stream. Let's read. We'll read together. It'll be fine. We'll see how it goes. I apologize, of course, if my reading is crap. I'll be honest. I've had like 2 fairly large beers. 2 out of 4, so not that bad. We'll see how it goes. I've got water, so we're fine. And I've eaten too, so I could be worse, but I'm not. But full disclosure, not 100% sober. Gotta be honest. Gotta say that. So, okay, we'll carry on from chapter 13. Marvin trudged on down the corridor, still moaning. And then, of course, I got this terrible pain all in the diodes down my left-hand side. No, said Arthur grimly as he walked along beside him. Really? Oh, yes, said Marvin. I mean, I asked for them to be replaced, but no one ever listens. I can imagine. Vague whistling and humming noises were coming from Ford. Well, 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 he kept saying to himself. Zaphod Beetlebrox. Zaphod. Suddenly Marvin stopped and held up a hand. You know what's happened now, of course. No. What? Said Arthur, who didn't want to know. We've arrived at another of those doors. There was a sliding door led into the side of the corridor. Marvin eyed it suspiciously. Well, said Ford impatiently. Do we go through? Do we go through? Mimicked Marvin. Yes, this is the entrance to the bridge. I was told to take you to the bridge. Probably the highest demand that will be made on intellectual capacities today, I shouldn't wonder. Slowly, with great loathing, he stepped towards the door, like a hunter stalking his prey. Suddenly it slid open. Thank you, it said, for making a simple door very happy. Deep in Marvin's thorax, gears ground. Funny, he intoned funerally. How just when you think life can't possibly get any worse, it suddenly does. He heaved himself through the door and left Ford and Arthur staring at each other and shrugging their shoulders. From inside they heard Marvin's voice again. I suppose you'll want to see the aliens now, he said. Thank you for the hype. Welcome to the channel. I have knocked how you pinned, buddy. Do you want me to sit in a corner and rust? Do you want me to sit in a corner and rust, or just fall apart where I'm standing? Yeah, just show him in, would you, Marvin? Came another voice. Arthur looked at Ford and was astonished to see him laughing. What's... Shh, said Ford. Come on in. He stepped through into the bridge. Arthur followed him in nervously and was astonished to see a man lolling in a chair with his feet on the control console, picking the teeth in his right-hand head with his left hand. The right-hand head seemed to be thoroughly preoccupied with this task, but the left-hand one was grinning a broad, relaxed, nonchalant grin. The number of things that Arthur couldn't believe he was seeing was fairly large. His jaw flopped about at a loose end for a while. The peculiar man waved a lazy wave at Ford, and with an appalling affection of nonchalance said, "Hi, Ford, hi, how are you? Glad you could drop in." Ford was not going to be out-cooled. "Say, Ford," he drooled. "Great to see ya. You're looking well. The extra arm suits you. Nice ship you've stolen." Arthur goggled at him. "You mean you know this guy?" he said, waving a wild finger at Zaphod. "Know him?" exclaimed Ford. He paused and decided to do the introductions the other way around. "Oh, Zaphod, this is a friend of mine, Arthur Dent," he said. "I saved him when his planet blew up." "Oh, sure," said Zaphod. "Hi, Arthur. Glad you could make it." His right-hand head looked around casually, said hi, and went back to having its teeth pulled. Picked. Sorry, not pulled. Ugh. Ford carried on. "And Arthur," he said, "this is my semi-cousin Zaphod B." "We've met," said Arthur sharply. "When you're cruising down the road in the fast lane and you lazily sail past a few hard-driving cars and are feeling pretty pleased with yourself and then accidentally change down from the fourth to the first instead of third, thus making your engine leap out of your bonnet in a rather ugly mess. It tends to throw you off your stride in much the same way as this remark threw Ford Prefect off his. What? He said. I said we've met. Zaphod gave an awkward start of surprise and jabbed at gum sharply. Hey, have we, hey, Ford rounded on Arthur with an angry flash in his eyes. Now he felt that he was back on home ground, and he suddenly began to resent having lumbered himself with this ignorant primitive who knew as much about the affairs of the galaxy as an Ilford-based gnat knew about life in Peking. What do you mean you've met? He demanded. This is Zaphod Beeblebrox from Beetlejuice 5, you know, not bloody Martin Smith from Croydon. I don't care, said Arthur coldly. We've met, haven't we, Zaphod Beeblebrox? Or should I say, Phil? What? Shouted Ford. You'll have to remind me, said Zaphod. I've a terrible memory for species. It was at a party, pursued Arthur. Yeah, well, I doubt that, said Zaphod. Cool it, will you, Arthur? Demanded Ford. Arthur would not be deterred. A party 6 months ago on Earth, England. Zaphod shook his head with a tight-lipped smile. London, insisted Arthur. Islington. Oh, said Zaphod with a guilty start. That party. This wasn't fair on Ford at all. He looked backwards and forwards between Arthur and Zaphod. What? He said to Zaphod. You don't mean to say you've been on that miserable little planet as well, do you? No, of course not, said Zaphod breezily. Well, I may have just dropped in briefly, you know, on my way somewhere. But I was stuck there for 15 years. Well, I didn't know that, did I? But what were you doing there? Looking about, you know. He gate-crashed a party, said Arthur, trembling with anger. A fancy dress party. It would have to be, wouldn't it? Said Ford. At this party, persisted Arthur, was a girl. Oh, well, look, it doesn't matter now. The whole place has gone up in smoke anyway. I wish you'd stop sulking about that bloody planet, said Ford. Who was the lady? Oh, just somebody. Well, all right, I wasn't doing very well with her. I'd been trying all evening. Well, she was something, though. Beautiful, charming, devastatingly intelligent. At least I'd got her to myself for a bit and was plying her with a bit of talk when this friend of yours barges up and says, Hey, doll, is this guy boring you? Why don't you talk to me instead? I'm from a different planet. I never saw her again. Zaphod? Exclaimed Ford. Yes, said Arthur, glaring at him and trying not to feel foolish. He only had the 2 arms and the 1 head, and he called himself Phil, but you must admit he did turn out to be from another planet, said Trillian, wandering into sight at the other end of the bridge. She gave Arthur a pleasant smile, which settled on him like a ton of bricks, and then turned her attention to the ship's controls again. There was silence for a few seconds, and then out of the scrambled mess of Arthur's brain crawled some words. Tricia McMillan, he said. What are you doing here? Same as you, she said. I hitched a lift. After all, with a degree in maths and another in astrophysics, what else was there to do? It was either that or the doll queue again on Monday. Infinity -1, chattered the computer. Improbability sum now complete. Zaphod looked about him, at Ford, at Arthur, and then at Trillian. Trillian, he said. Is this the sort of thing that's going to happen every time we use the improbability drive? Very probably, I'm afraid, she said. Still waiting on the nyet sound. Hi, Laffy Taffy. How you been? Well, we'll get there maybe at some point. I don't know. I might. Nyeh. It depends. The next time I do it in a situation full of desperation, I will let you know. And somebody can clip it or something, and then I'll maybe do something about it. I don't know. It would probably. I don't know if you do. How do you make sound alerts or whatever? Chapter 14. The Heart of Gold fled on silently through the night of space. Now on conventional photon drive, its crew of 4 were ill at ease, knowing that they had been brought together not by their own volition or by simple coincidence, but by some curious perversion of physics, as if relationships between people were susceptible to the same laws that govern the relationships between atoms and molecules. As the ship's artificial night closed, as the ship's artificial night closed in, they were each grateful to retire to separate cabins and try to rationalize their thoughts. Trillian couldn't sleep. She sat on the couch and stared at a small cage which contained her last and only links with Earth. 2 white mice that she had insisted Zaphod let her bring. She had expected never to see the planet again, but she was disturbed by her negative reaction to the news of the planet's destruction. It seemed remote and unreal, and she could find no thoughts to think about it. She watched the mice scurrying around in a cage and running furiously in their little plastic tread wheels till they occupied her whole attention. Suddenly, she shook herself and went back to the bridge to watch over the tiny flashing lights and figures that charted the ship's progress through the void. She wished she knew what it was she was trying not to think about. Zaphod couldn't sleep. He also wished he knew what it was he wouldn't let himself think about. For as long as he could remember, he suffered from a vague, nagging feeling of being not all there. Most of the time he was able to put this thought aside and not worry about it, but it had been reawakened by the sudden and inexplicable arrival of Ford Prefect and Arthur Dent. Somehow it seemed to conform to a pattern that he couldn't see. Ford couldn't sleep. He was too excited about being back on the road again. 15 years of virtual imprisonment were over. Just as he was finally beginning to give up hope, knocking about with Zaphod for a bit promised to be a lot of fun, though there seemed to be something faintly odd about his semi-cousin that he couldn't put his finger on. The fact that he had become president of the galaxy was frankly astonishing, as was the manner of his leaving the post. Was there a reason behind it? There would be no point in asking Vasod? Zaphod. He never appeared to have any reason for doing anything he did at all. He had turned unfathomability into an art. He attacked everything in life with a mixture of extraordinary genius and naive incompetence, and it was often difficult to tell which was which. Arthur slept. He was terribly tired. I have stories in what sense? Because I do have fan fiction, but also I finished my novel, so there's that. So technically, the answer is yes. Why? I've written Detroit Become Human. I'm a full-fledged writer, but I'm not a full-fledged author because I haven't been published. That is how I differentiate. I have written DBH fanfiction. I will message you privately later. Do I have you? I do have you on thingy, don't I? Oh my gosh. Where's Laffy Taffy? Wait, here we are. Here you go. Um, Give me a moment. I will find it for you. Hi. Okay. Um, I don't know if you can access this link, but let me know if you can. That's my profile. Don't tell anybody about it. um, but yeah, I've got a list of a couple things. Most of it's unfinished, I'll be honest. Um, you'll keep it a secret forever. Thank you. But yeah, sorry. I will get on with this. Have fun, I guess. Arthur slept. He was terribly tired. Wait a second, what? Which I You do? I've only written so many. If you want a link, you can have one, Abnock. I just didn't really think you were very into fan fiction. It's not very, like, you know, it's a bit weird. Sometimes. It gets weird. Don't talk to me about it. You've got 3 of them bookmarked. From which fandoms? Not all of them DBH, right? You don't know the story? Because I've only got 3. 3 Detroit. Really? You've got all of them bookmarked? That's amazing. That's awesome. That's very flattering to know, actually. Thank you. Hi, Gray. How you been, buddy? I hope you not read these. How haven't you read these? Really? You bookmarked them, but you haven't read them. That's fair. Okay, that's fair enough. People need time. Um, yeah, that's fair enough. But I'm glad that you're interested enough to bookmark them. That's nice. That's good. Thank you. Um, bookmarked them and gave up on reading. To be fair, I have uh I have so many pinned messages in emails about fanfic updates that I just haven't read in like so long. There's basically a wall. I have to scroll down to get to today's emails. So I do need to get on top of my fanfic reading. But it could have been worse, to be fair. You stopped writing because people wanted full stories. Well, to be fair, if you're on AOL and fanfiction and stuff, you can just write one shots and you can just be like, nah, I don't want to write any more than that. So just write if you label it as a one shot, that's all it's ever going to be. Chapter 1, done. That's all you need to do. People can tell you that they want more, but you don't have to ask them. Wait, what? You read one of them. Okay. The Christmas one. You read No Surprises, eh? Nice. I'm glad. I still owe so many people Christmas presents from like 3 years ago at this point. I was like, give me some prompts. I will write you Christmas fics. And I wrote one of them. I still owe 2 people Christmas fics. But cool. I'm glad you read one. In bed after a knackering day of walking in the sun. That is fair. If you need to sleep, you sleep, buddy. I believe in you. You did good walking today. You did go walking. I woke up, made brunch, then went shopping, and then we came back and there was beers. you gently hold the Christmas fig. Aww. I mean, I could... I need you in the office. Come whenever you're ready. Sorry. Just, I was scrolling through that fic and I had to stop there, so of course I had to read that out loud. Sorry. I try not to think about my fanfiction. Although to be fair, I do need to get back into it because it brings me much joy. It brings me much joy and it helps get the creative juices flowing. And I haven't had a proper... I say I haven't had the time, but I haven't had the motivation, honestly. Seriously, like, I try to avoid the subject of fanfiction. Like, yes, I definitely, like, I do own up to writing some, but I don't generally talk about what I write. So the fact that you've sat there and gone, I read it, I loved it, it's amazing. Thank you. I love to hear that. Thank you. But oh, that's sweet. I just wish agents felt that way. I need to be published. It anyway, sorry, it's me being weird. But thank you. I do appreciate I really do appreciate that you enjoyed the fan fiction. I had a lot of fun writing the Christmas fic. It was nice to do something relatively innocent for a change. It's not to say I do anything particularly terrible, but sometimes I tackle fairly unpleasant subjects, and it was just nice to do a little innocent I like you thing going on. A little straightforward romance is always fun, and I'm about that. Yeah, I love Simon standing up for himself. He's a tough cookie. I have a lot of opinions about Simon. I feel like he's very underrated, and I was very disappointed that DBH could have done more with him but chose not to. Like, seriously, David Cage, get your shit together. But like, he's so underrated, and he's very multifaceted, and I have many opinions about Simon, whom I love. I think he's probably my favorite character outside of the main characters, of course. Same thing. Yeah, like, as much as I love Detroit Become Human, it could have done a lot more in terms of character exploration. I feel like the most character exploration was given to Connor and Hank, but the others definitely could have had some more. So fairly disappointed, especially like the Jericho 4. Are you kidding me? You're not explaining that? You're not exploring them? Are you kidding? Seriously? But yeah, I feel like I'm not going to say I don't think Connor didn't deserve the character development that he got, because he was a very complicated character, and he had a lot of like identity issues and things to sort out. So he's a fascinating character, and I love him. I really do need to sit down and play Detroit Become Human again, because I do love to go into it. And maybe I feel like someday soon, I don't know when, but we'll get back into Detroit Become Human, because we do have a backlog of games. Because we need to finish Labyrinthine Chapter 5, so that's going to happen whenever my friend Marcus Boy is ready to do so, because I have the flexible timetable, he does not, so we're going to do this when he's got the time to do so. So we'll finish Labyrinthine whenever that's ready. Laffy Taffy, if you're into a bit of horror, we started playing Labyrinthine Chapter 5 the other week. I don't know if you were here for Labyrinthine Chapters 1 through 4, but I did them solo. And anyone who is interested in that kind, who is interested in horror, um, should definitely check out those VODs. So anyway, as I was saying, we'll do Labyrinthine Chapter 5 again when Marcus is ready to do so. So that might, it might result in like a surprise stream on a day I don't usually stream, or you gotta catch up on everything. Well, catch up on what you like. But it is true, I haven't seen you for a while, so I'm very happy to see you today. But we've also got to play Stanley Parable, the deluxe thing. The deluxe edition, the new one that was fairly recently released. We've got to play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, that's on the list. We've got to play Project Zomboid, that's on the list. We have things to do, and I don't know when we're going to do because I don't know when any of our current games are projected to finish, to be honest with you. I was hoping to breeze through Monkey Island because it's supposed to be relatively short, but you gave me the reins and it's going to take twice as long. You know it is. So I apologize, but I've just realized how horrifically I've spelt the word story. There's an E in it now, I guess. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going to refresh my browser. But yeah, sorry. I had to do that. It's fixed now. It's fixed now if you guys would like to refresh your browsers. But yes, we have many plans, up to and including Project Zomboid, which I think would be really, really great to do with people and solo as well. Also, I kind of want to do a few challenges on The Sims 2, see how that goes. Like, story. I was test driving the other day on Sims 4 what the starting with zero money challenge would be like. Very interesting, but I'd like to do it on The Sims 2, see how that goes. Because if I recall correctly, earning money's not as easy. Reset deaths. Does it not work? How? This is what I get for not touching frigging stuff. Here we go. Here we go. What have you done? I haven't logged into it in ages. I don't... Go to dashboard, Cloudbot. What the fuck are you doing? Okay. Excuse me. I'm just gonna untick and tick a few boxes, see how that goes. I don't know what Stream Elements is doing. I don't know. Tick and untick some things, I guess. I know the last time I touched it was my attempt at editing the lurk thing, which did not work, by the way. Did not customize at all well. So I'll have to fix that at some point and take it back to the default. Not really sure why that's a thing. I'm just gonna type in lurk for now, see if that does anything. Does it not? Why doesn't that work? I don't know. I don't know. We'll work it out. Or maybe we won't, because I'm a lazy human person. I don't know. We'll have to work on that one. But we'll do that in the future, because right now we're partway through chapter whatever it was. 14. Okay. So Arthur slept. He was terribly tired. There was a tap at Zaphod's door. It slid open. Zaphod? Yeah? Trillian stood, outlined in the oval of light. I think we just found what you came to look for. Hey, yeah? Ford gave up on the attempt to sleep. In the corner of his cabin was a small computer screen and keyboard. He sat at it for a while and tried to compose a new entry for the guide on the subject of Vogons, but he couldn't think of anything vitriolic enough, so he gave that up too, wrapped a robe around himself, and went for a walk to the bridge. As he entered, he was surprised to see two figures hunched excitedly over the instruments. "See, the ship's about to move into orbit," said Trillian. Trillian was saying. "There's a planet out there. It's at the exact coordinates you predicted." Zaphod heard a noise and looked up. "Ford!" he hissed. "Hey, come here and take a look at this." Ford went and had a look at it. It was a series of figures flickering over a screen. "You recognize those galactic coordinates?" said Zaphod. "No." "I'll give you a clue. Computer!" "Hi, gang," enthused the computer. "This is getting real sociable, isn't it?" "Shut up," said Zaphod, and show up the screens." Light on the bridge sank. Pinpoints of light played across the consoles and reflected in 4 pairs of eyes that stared up at the external monitor screens. There was absolutely nothing on them. "Recognize that?" whispered Zaphod. Ford frowned. No," he said. "What do you see?" "Nothing? Recognize it? What are you talking about?" "We're in the Horsehead Nebula. One whole vast dark cloud. And I was meant to recognize that from a blank screen? Inside a dark nebula is the only place in the galaxy you'd see a dark screen." "Very good." Zaphod laughed. He was clearly very excited about something, almost childishly so. "Hey, this is really terrific. This is just far too much." "What's so great about being stuck in a dust cloud?" asked Ford. "What do you reckon to find here?" urged Zaphod. "Nothing. No stars? No planets? No." "Computer!" shouted Zaphod. "Rotate angle of vision through 180 degrees and don't talk about it." For a moment it seemed that nothing was happening. Then a brightness glowed at the edge of the huge screen. A red star the size of a small plate crept across it, followed quickly by another one, a binary system. Then a vast crescent sliced into the corner of the picture, a red glare shading away into deep black. The night side of the planet. "I found it!" cried Zaphod, thumping the console. "I found it!" Ford stared at it in astonishment. "What is it?" he said. "That," said Zaphod, "is the most improbable planet that ever existed." Chapter 15. Excerpt from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, page 634,784. There we go. I can read numbers, I swear. Section 5A, entry Magrathea. Far back in the mists of ancient time, in the great and glorious days of the former galactic empire, life was wild, rich, and largely tax-free. Mighty starships plied their way between exotic suns, seeking adventure and reward amongst the furthest reaches of galactic space. In those days, spirits were brave and stakes were high. Men were real men, women were real women, and small fairy creatures from Alpha Centauri were real small fairy creatures from Alpha Centauri. And all dared to brave unknown terrors, to do mighty deeds, to boldly split infinitives that no man had split before. And thus was the empire forged. Many men, of course, became extremely rich, but this was perfectly natural and nothing to be ashamed of, because no one was really poor. At least no one worth speaking of. And for all the richest and most successful merchants, life invariably became rather dull and niggly, and they began to imagine that this was therefore the fault of the world they'd settled on. None of them was entirely satisfactory. Either the climate wasn't quite right in the later part of the afternoon, or the day was half an hour too long, or the sea was exactly the wrong shade of pink. And thus were created the conditions for a staggering new form of specialist industry, custom-made luxury planet building. The home of this industry was the planet Magrathea, where hyperspatial engineers sucked matter through white holes in space to form it into dream planets. Gold planets, platinum planets, soft rubber planets with lots of earthquakes, all lovingly made to meet the exact standards that the galaxy's richest men naturally came to expect. It's a very British word. Niggly meaning like finicky and awkward. Or something that kind of just like nags at you and it's a bit, it's not quite right. But like finicky and awkward is I think the general definition. But so successful was the venture that Magrathea itself soon became the richest planet of all time, and the rest of the galaxy was reduced to abject poverty. And so the system broke down, the empire collapsed, and a long sullen silence settled over 1 billion hungry worlds, disturbed only by the pen scratchings of scholars as they labored into the night over small, smug treaties on the value of a planned political economy. Magrathea itself disappeared, and its memory soon passed into the obscurity of legend. In these enlightened days, of course, no one believes a word of it. You said niggly unironically. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Chapter 16. Arthur woke to the sound of argument and went to the bridge. Ford was waving his arm about. "You're crazy, Zaphod," he was saying. "Magrathea is a myth, a fairy story. It's what parents tell their kids about at night if they want them to grow up to become economists. And that's what we're currently in orbit about," insisted Zaphod. "Look, I can't help what you may personally be in orbit around," said Zaphod. "But this ship—" "Computer!" shouted Zaphod. "Oh, no." "Hi there, this is Eddie, your shipboard computer, and I'm feeling just great, guys. I know I'm just going to get a bundle of kicks out of any programming you care to run through me." Arthur looked inquiringly at Trillian. She motioned him to come in, but keep quiet. "I say, chaps, roaringly splendid to see you." Roaringly splendid. "Computer," said Zaphod, "tell us again what our present trajectory is." "A real pleasure, fella," it blurted. "We are currently in orbit at an altitude of 300 miles around the legendary planet Magrathea." "Proving nothing," said Ford. "I wouldn't trust that computer to speak my weight." "I can do that for you, sure," enthused the computer, punching out more ticker tape. "I can even work out your personality problems to 10 decimal places if it will help." Trillian interrupted. "Zaphod," she said, "any minute now we'll be in We'll be swinging around into the daylight side of the planet, adding, whatever it turns out to be. Hey, what do you mean by that? The planet's where I predicted it would be, isn't it? Yes, I know there's a planet there. I'm not arguing with anyone. It's just that I wouldn't know Magrathea from any other lump of cold rock. Dawn's coming up if you want it. Okay, muttered Zaphod. Let's at least give our eyes a good time. Computer! Hi there, what can I... Just shut up and give us a view of the planet again. A dark, featureless mass once more filled the screens, the planet rolling away beneath them. They watched for a moment in silence, but Zaphod was fidgeting with excitement. We are now traversing the night side, he said in a hushed voice. The planet rolled on. You're so mean to computers. They really are. The surface of the planet is now 300 miles beneath us, he continued. He was trying to restore a sense of occasion to what he felt should have been a great moment. Magrathea! He was piqued by Ford's skeptical reaction. Magrathea! In a few seconds, he continued, we should see... There! The moment carried itself. Even the most seasoned star tramp couldn't help but shiver at the spectacular drama of a sunrise seen from space. But a binary sunrise is one of the marvels of the galaxy. Out of the utter blackness stabbed a sudden point of blinding light. It crept up by slight degrees and spread sideways in a thin crescent blade. And within seconds 2 suns were visible, furnaces of light searing the black edge of the horizon with white fire. Fierce shafts of color streaked through the thin atmosphere beneath them. The fires of dawn, breathed Zaphod. The twin sons of Sulianis and Ram. Or whatever, said Ford quietly. Sulianis and Ram, insisted Zaphod. The suns blazed into the pitch of space, and a low, ghostly music floated through the bridge. Marvin was humming ironically because he hated humans so much. As Ford gazed at the spectacle of light before them, excitement burnt inside him, but only the excitement of seeing a strange new planet. It was enough for him to see it as it was. It faintly irritated him that Zaphod had to impose some ludicrous fantasy on the scene to make it work for him. All this Magrathea nonsense seemed juvenile. Isn't it enough to see that a garden is beautiful without having to believe that there are fairies at the bottom of it too? All this Magrathea business seemed totally incomprehensible to Arthur. He edged up to Trillian and asked her what was going on. I only know what Zaphod's told me, she whispered. Apparently Magrathea is some kind of legend from way back which no one seriously believes in. Bit like Atlantis on Earth, except that the legends say that Magratheans used to manufacture planets. Arthur blinked the screens and felt he was missing something important. Suddenly he realized what it was. Is there any tea on this spaceship? He asked. More of the planet was unfolding beneath them. As the heart of gold streaked along its orbital path, the suns now stood high on the black sky. The pyrotechnics of dawn were over, and the surface of the planet appeared bleak and foreboding in the common light of day, grey, dusty, and only dimly contoured. It looked dead and cold as a crypt. From time to time, promising features would appear on the distant horizon, ravines, maybe mountains, maybe even cities, but as they approached the lines would soften and blur into anonymity, and nothing would transpire The planet's surface was blurred by time, by the slow movement of the thin, stagnant air that had crept across it for century upon century. Clearly, it was very, very old. Googling a crypt? A crypt. Cold and dead as a crypt. There we go. My bad, I'm sorry. A moment of doubt came to Ford as he watched the grey landscape move beneath them. The immensity of time worried him. He could feel it as a presence. He cleared his throat. Well, even supposing it is, said Zaphod. Which it isn't, continued Ford. What do you want with it anyway? There's nothing there. Not on the surface, said Zaphod. All right, just supposing there's something. I take it you're not here for the sheer industrial archaeology of it all. What are you after? One of Zaphod's heads looked away. The other one looked round to see what the first was looking at, but it wasn't looking at anything very much. Well, said Zaphod airily, it's partly the curiosity, partly the sense of adventure, but mostly I think it's the fame and the money. Ford glanced at him sharply. He got a very strong impression that Zaphod hadn't the faintest idea why he was there at all. As cold as glue. Good old Prittstick. I mean, it could be. Glue can be very cold, let's be honest. Just put it in the fridge for a bit, I guess. You know, I don't like the look of this planet at all, said Trillian, shivering. Ah, take no notice, said Zaphod. With half the wealth of the former Galactic Empire stored on it somewhere, it can afford to look frumpy. Bullshit, thought Ford. Even supposing this was the home of some ancient civilization now gone to dust, even supposing a number of exceedingly unlikely things, there was no way vast treasures of wealth were going to be stored there in any form that would still have meaning now. He shrugged. I think it's just a dead planet, he said. The suspense is killing me, said Arthur testily. Stress and nervous tension are now serious social problems in all parts of the galaxy, and it is in order that this situation should not be in any way exacerbated that the following facts will now be revealed in advance. The planet in question is, in fact, the legendary Magrathea. The deadly missile attack shortly to be launched by the ancient automatic defense system will result in merely in a breakage of 3 coffee cups, a mouse cage, and the bruising of somebody's upper arm, and the untimely creation and sudden demise of a bowl of petunias and an innocent sperm whale. In order that some sense of mystery should still be preserved, no revelation will yet be made concerning whose upper arm sustains the bruise. The fact may safely be made the subject of suspense, since it has no significance whatsoever. Chapter 17. After a fairly shaky start to the day, Arthur's mind was beginning to reassemble itself from the shell-shock fragments of the previous. Oh my god, my brain has died. After a fairly shaky start to the day, Arthur's mind was beginning to reassemble itself from the shell-shock fragments the previous day had left him with. I should have just finished the sentence. It might have made sense. He had found a Nutrimatic machine which had provided him with a plastic cup filled with a liquid that was almost, but not quite, entirely unlike tea. The way it functioned was very interesting. When the drink button was pressed, it made an instant but highly detailed examination of the subject's taste buds, a spectroscopic analysis of the subject's metabolism, and then sent tiny experimental signals down the neurological pathways to the taste centers of the subject's brain to see what was most likely to go down well. However, no one knew quite why it did this, because it invariably delivered a cupful of liquid that was almost but not quite entirely unlike tea. The Nutramatic was designed and manufactured by the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation, whose complaints department now covers all the major land masses of the first 3 planets in the Sirius Tau star system. You finish the sentence or you die. You must start the book again. Arthur drank the liquid and found it reviving. He glanced up at the screens again and watched a few more 100 miles of barren grayness slide past. It suddenly occurred to him to ask a question which had been bothering him. "Is it safe?" he said. "Magrathea has been dead for 5 million years," said Zaphod. "Of course it's safe. Even the ghosts will have settled down and raised families by now." At which point a strange and inexplicable sound thrilled suddenly through the bridge, a noise as of a distant fanfare, a hollow, reedy, insubstantial sound. It preceded a voice that was equally hollow, reedy, and insubstantial. The greeting said, "Greetings to you." Someone from the dead planet was talking to them. "Computer," shouted Zaphod. "Hi there!" "What the photon is it?" "Oh, just some 5 million-year-old tape that's being broadcast at us." "What? A recording?" "Shush," said Ford. "It's carrying on." The voice was old, courteous, almost charming, but it was underscored with quite unmistakable menace. "This is a recorded announcement," it said, "as I'm afraid we're all out at the moment. The Commercial Council of Magrathea thanks you for your esteemed visit." "A voice from ancient Magrathea," shouted Zaphod. Okay, said Ford. "But regrets," continued the voice, "that the entire planet is temporarily closed for business. Thank you. If you would care to leave your name and the address of a planet where you can be contacted, kindly speak when you hear the tone." A short buzz followed, then silence. "They want to get rid of us," said Trillian nervously. "What do we do?" "It's just a recording," said Zaphod. "We keep going. Got that, computer?" "I got it," said the computer, and gave the ship an extra kick of speed. They waited. It was going to be because of a disease. Nah, they're just out. They waited. After a second or so came the fanfare once again, and then the voice. "We would like to assure you that as soon as our business is resumed, announcements will be made in all fashionable magazines and color supplements, when our clients will once again be able to select from all that's best in the contemporary geography." The menace in the voice took on a sharper edge. "Meanwhile, we thank our clients for their kind interest and would ask them to leave now." After Arthur looked around the nervous faces of his companions. "Well, I suppose we better be going then, hadn't we?" he suggested. "Shh," said Zaphod. "There's absolutely nothing to be worried about." "Why is everyone so tense?" "They're just interested," said Zaphod. "Computer, start the descent into the atmosphere and prepare for landing." This time the fanfare was quite perfunctory, the voice now distinctly cold. "It is most gratifying," it said, that your enthusiasm for our planet continues unabated, and so we would like to assure you that the guided missiles currently converging with your ship are part of the special service we extend to all of our most enthusiastic clients. And the fully armed nuclear warheads are, of course, merely a courtesy detail. We look forward to your custom in future lives. Thank you. The voice snapped off. Oh, said Trillian. Said Arthur. Well, said Ford. Look, said Zaphod. Will you get it into your head? That's just a recorded message. It's millions of years old. It doesn't apply to us. Get it? What? Said Trillian quietly. About the missiles. Missiles? Don't make me laugh. Ford tapped Zaphod on the shoulder and pointed at the rear screen. Color in the distance behind them, two silver darts were climbing through the atmosphere towards the ship. A quick change in magnification brought them into close focus. Two massively real rockets thundering through the sky. The suddenness of it was shocking. I think they're going to have a very good try at applying it to us, said Ford. Zaphod stared at them in astonishment. Hey, this is terrific, he said. Someone down there is trying to kill us. Terrific, said Arthur. But don't you see what this means? Yes, we're going to die. Yes, but apart from that, it means we must be on to something. How soon can we get off it? Second by second, the image of the missiles on the screen grew larger. They had swung around now onto a direct homing course, so that all that could be seen of them now was the warheads head on. As a matter of interest, said Trillian. What are we going to do? Just keep cool, said Zaphod. Is that all? Said Arthur. No, we're also going to, take evasive action, said Zaphod with a sudden excess of panic. Computer, what evasive action can we take? None, I'm afraid, guys, said the computer. Or something, said Zaphod. He said. There seems to be something jamming my guidance systems, explained the computer brightly. Impact minus 45 seconds. Please call me Eddie if it will help you to relax. Zaphod tried to run in several equally indecisive directions simultaneously. Right, he said. We've got to get manual control of this ship. Can you fly her? Asked Ford pleasantly. No, can you? No? Trillian, can you? No? Fine, said Zaphod, relaxing. We'll do it together. I can't either, said Arthur, who felt it was time he began to assert himself. I guess that, said Zaphod. Okay, computer, I want full manual control right now. You got it, said the computer. She never finished. Wait, what? What am I waiting? Tell me! Several large desk panels slid open, and the banks of control consoles sprang out of them, showering the crew with bits of expanded polystyrene, packaging, and balls of rolled-up cellophane. These controls had never been used before. Did he suggest they fly the ship together because no one knows how to fly the ship? Yep, that's basically it. Look, if you work together, teamwork is magic, this is true. But if you work together and one of you crashes the ship, none of you will have crashed the ship because you can't assign blame because it was all a team effort. Yep. You fail together or you don't fail, that's all. You succeed or you die. That's what teamwork looks like. Zaphod stared at them wildly. Okay, forward, he said. Full retro thrust and 10 degrees starboard. Or something. Good luck, guys, chirped the computer. Impact minus 30 seconds. Ford leapt to the controls. Only a few of them made any immediate sense to him, so he pulled those. The ship shook and screamed as its guidance rocket jets tried to push it every which way simultaneously. He released half of them, and the ship span around in a tight arc and headed back the way it came, straight towards the oncoming missiles. Air cushions ballooned out of the walls and in an instant, as everyone was thrown against them. For a few seconds, the inertial forces held them flattened and squirmed for breath, unable to move. Zaphod struggled and pushed in manic desperation, and finally managed a savage kick at a small lever that formed part of the guidance system. The lever snapped off. The ship twisted sharply and rocketed upwards. The crew were hurled violently back across the cabin. Ford's copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy smashed into another section of the control console, with the combined result that the guides started to explain to everyone who cared to listen about the best ways of smuggling Antarian parakeet glands out of the Antares. An Antarian parakeet gland stuck on a small stick is a revolting but much sought after cocktail delicacy, and very large sums of money are often paid for them by very rich idiots who want to impress other very rich idiots. And the ship suddenly dropped out of the sky like a stone. It was, of course, more or less at this moment that one of the crew sustained a nasty bruise to the upper arm. This should be emphasized because, as has already been revealed, they escape otherwise completely unharmed, and the deadly nuclear missiles do not eventually hit the ship. The safety of the crew is absolutely assured. Just a bunch of monkeys trying to fly a spaceship made of Lego, somehow not dying. That is basically this book. It is very improbable, which is mostly the theme, let's be real. Impact minus 20 seconds, guys, said the computer. Then turn the bloody engines back on, bawled Zaphod. Oh, sure thing, guys, said the computer. With a subtle roar, the engines cut back in. The ship smoothly flattened out of its dive and headed back towards the missiles again. The computer started to sing. When you walk through the storm, it whined nasally. Hold your head up high. Zaphod screamed at it to shut up, but his voice was lost in the din of what they quite naturally assumed was approaching destruction. Life narrated by Stephen Merchant. And don't be afraid of the dark, Eddie wailed. The ship, in flattening out, had in fact flattened out, upside down, and lying on the ceiling, as they were, was now totally impossible for any of the crew to reach the guidance systems. At the end of the storm, crooned Eddie. The two missiles loomed massively on the screens as they thundered towards the ship. Is a golden sky. But by an extraordinarily lucky chance, they had not yet fully corrected their flight path to that of the erratically weaving ship, and they passed right under it. Did I miss a page? Thundering, oh, they passed under the ship. Sorry, they were talking about missiles. No problem. And the sweet silver song of the lark, revised. Revised impact time, 15 seconds, fellas. Walk on through the wind. The missiles banked round on a screeching arc and plunged back into pursuit. This is it, said Arthur, watching them. We are now quite definitely going to die, aren't we? I wish you'd stop saying that, shouted Ford. Well, we are, aren't we? Yes! Walk on through the rain, sang Eddie. A thought struck Arthur. He struggled to his feet. Why doesn't anyone turn on this improbability drive thing, he said. We could probably reach it. What? Are you crazy? Said Zaphon. Without proper programming, anything could happen. Does that matter at this stage? Shouted Arthur. Though your dreams be tossed and blown, sang Eddie. Arthur scrambled up onto one of the excitingly chunky pieces of molded contouring, where the curves of the wall met the ceiling. Walk on with hope in your heart. Does anyone know why Arthur can't turn on the improbability drive? Shouted Trillian. And you'll never walk alone. Impact minus 15 seconds. It's been great knowing you guys. God bless. You'll never walk alone. I said, yelled Trillian. Does anyone know? The next thing that happened was a mind-mangling explosion of noise and light. And I'm going to leave it there for now. The guy from Stanley Parable. Yeah, the guy from Stanley Parable would be good, let's be honest. And they all died. The end. Who wants to read the next book? This has become a book club, guys. I hope you guys have a copy of these things, so you can judge my poor reading for yourselves. But it would be quite entertaining to have the guy from Stanley Parable. Although, to be fair, I think he's quite judgy. I'm going to put it out there. I think he's really judgy. That's just my thoughts on the subject. I think he's a bit judgy. But you know what? I'm going to leave you guys here. Sleep well when you go. I will see you on Monday, hopefully, with Final Fantasy VIII. It's been a hot minute since we played that, I swear. I think we're still looking for the captain. But I'll see you on Monday, hopefully. Sleep well when you go. If it is not your bedtime, have a great time zone. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye, guys. Oh, I also forgot. Next Friday, I won't be streaming. I have to cover my colleague at work, so next Friday will not happen. I have to warn you now. Just not much more stream, but I do have to warn you now before I forget. Yes, ultimately, this little bit of stream results in less stream. But, I don't know. If it goes really well, maybe I'll do, I don't know, a slightly longer stream. It depends on how much energy I have. But again, I will update you on what is happening in my life, because it may or may not result in streams not happening or needing to be rescheduled. Or nothing changing at all, depending. It really depends. I will let you know when it happens, because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx it. But anyway, sleep well. Thank you for being here. I will see you next Monday. Have a great weekend. Have a lovely Sunday. I will see you around. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Sleep well.